Welcome back, fellow gardeners. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the spider plant. We do love spider plants. The thing about spider plants is that they're great for the indoors, they're great for patio gardens and also for borders, and wherever you want to fill up your space, you can actually introduce your spider plant. Now, what I'd like to do is actually talk about spider plant propagation, because this is where it's all at. These are called spiderettes, and each spiderette actually makes you a new baby. So welcome back. My name is Alice and I'm the Red Soil Gardener. Now, when we talk about spider plants, I just really love them because, first of all, it's all about the foliage hanging over, and also as you have them as hanging baskets, as we've seen, having all these spiderettes, it just makes the plant so easy. Now, the thing about spider plants, they're great for beginners because it is so easy to take care of them. It is so easy to propagate that whole action can actually encourage a beginner gardener and make you very confident in gardening. Another thing about spider plants is that they're air purifiers, and they have said, I think NASA, is that they are air purifiers, and it is recognized. Now, the thing about being an air purifying plant is that what it does, it absorbs all those pollutants in the atmosphere, in the air, and then gives out oxygen. So if you do have spider plants in your home, just know that it's also working for your benefit by absorbing all those harmful pollutants and giving you your oxygen. Now, the thing about spiders is that, first of all, as I mentioned earlier, is for beginners, once you do have a spider plant, what happens is, first of all, it'll go into flower production, and it has these beautiful white flowers. And then once the flower season is over, it gives you all these plant spiderettes. And that's what happens, is that it comes from the mother plant and hangs down, and it just makes it more attractive. So for propagation purposes, all you need to do is actually work with these spiderettes, and you've already multiplied your stock. Now, the other thing about spider plants, there's so many, well, actually, I only know of 4 varieties, but you may find some other varieties out there. Now, the ones that I have is this variety where you have the white edging and the majority of the green in the middle. But they do have another spider plant, almost similar, but actually in reverse, where you get the white in the center and the green on the outer edge. Another variety that I do have is the green variety, and we will show you a picture. Again, the same type of plant, but the foliage is green. Now, the one which I've seen, and we can't get it in Kenya, is the curling one, which is a spider plant, but it has curled leaves and it is very attractive. We will post that. So if you do have an opportunity to get that one, it's actually also very spectacular. Now, let's look at the light requirement of spider plants. Basically, I find that my spider plants do really well in bright, indirect sun. However, in a home, it does tolerate low light levels. But again, when it doesn't get enough light, what happens is the leaves get very long and thin, and basically it won't flower or produce your babies. However, you can sort of adjust it in your house and ensure it does get the light, or in your patio or your veranda or wherever. Just ensure it does get bright, indirect light, and you will get the babies forming and the flowers. Now, what sort of soil does our little spider plant like? It does like a well-drained soil. But also the thing about spiders, although they can be drought resistant in terms that they can stand a long time without water, but basically they just like their soil evenly moist. Once it's evenly moist, it will thrive. Now, what sort of water, as I said, is evenly moist? And the whole thing about spiders is that I have to show you something, is that with spider plants is under the soil, they have all these tubers, and the tubers look like this, and it sort of looks like an extension of its rooting. But what happens with these tubers, and again, as I mentioned, they can tolerate no water for a long time. Within these tubers, they actually store food and water. So basically, if you do overwater your spider plant, these tubers can start to rot. And once the tubers does rot, you've already got your root rot. So we want to avoid that. Just ensure just evenly moist and not overwatering. The thing about spider plants, as I mentioned earlier, this is another one, is I uprooted this one. Again, if you look at the spider rooting with all these tubers hanging out, is basically spider plants like to be root bound, and the roots do grow very fast. So if you do look at your spider plant and look at the proportion of your roots to the foliage, you must realize also is that as they grow, as your rooting does grow very fast, you may have to keep repotting. Now what happens is that once I plant this, which I'll do right now, is that just make sure that every time you do repot your spider plant, you move it into a bigger size container. And then keep an eye on the container, because once the roots do mature and keep producing, you may find that your pot does crack and a bit of rooting comes out, or you get rooting at the base at your drainage hole. Then you know that it's time to move one step ahead and get a bigger pot. Now the problem is that if you do have this root bound and your roots are growing really, really fast, is that what happens is that the rooting takes over the soil proportion, and so then the plant doesn't get that nutrient from the soil, and that's another reason why you need to repot it, so that at least your roots can actually get its nutrients. So I'm going to pot this. So I'm just going to, this is moist soil. It's really well draining. It's got a bit of grit in there, it's got a bit of compost. It is, the water just seeps right through, and in that way I preserve my tubers. But I am going to put it in here because, as we see, the rooting is really big, and this particular one will need to be repotted so we can get its nutrients. What I'm going to do is actually use my hand, put my tuber and my rooting in here, just like that. There you go. And just simply cover it. I'm going to add a bit more soil. So there we go. So my spider plant, which needed to be repotted because in the previous pot was much smaller, I've managed to pot it in here, a bigger pot, so that the roots can actually be happy looking for its nutrients. And once it does again get overcrowded with roots, I will again move it into a bigger pot. Now the other thing is, now we're talking propagation, is basically what happens is I did pick this from that plant where we did the introduction, and I wanted you to see what these little spiderettes look like. And this is what they look like. Now let's start from a simple spiderette like this. And so basically here is a spiderette, And then what the spider plant does for us, it already starts its roots. And these are the little roots that are attached to the babies. Now, as you leave, because I always find it very attractive when I do leave my little spiderettes sort of hanging, and it just brings a bit of variation in the garden. But as you leave it and these spiderettes are still attached to the mother, what happens in your spiderette formation, it actually produces more babies in that clump. So this one was hanging like this, and it's a far more mature spiderette. Now, if you look inside, you have so many babies. So if you look here, there's one baby attached to that one spiderette. Then there's another baby here, again attached to that spiderette. And so if I remove these, we'll see how many spiderettes in one clump. So I am going to simply pull them apart. One baby. Sorry, that's another one. So within this clump, you could actually get quite a few babies. So when you do get your spiderettes forming and you want to do a propagation, do check in your clump, because you may have other babies happening. So basically what you can do is, for the spider plant, as we've seen, you take the spiderettes, have a look and see how many clumps are attached to that particular spiderette, and you can divide it, and then you use that for propagation to increase your stock. The other method, what I do is, once I have divided the spiderettes, I just put them in water. And the thing about putting them in water is actually the root really fast. I started this on Monday and today is Thursday, and already the rooting in 4 days has been forming really, really fast. Now that is with my variegated one. Now if I look at my green one, again the same thing with the green variety. This is just 4 days. So I'm going to put it back in there. And then what I do is, if I don't want to propagate this particular plant at this particular moment and I put them in water, all I do is just leave it in the water, and I put some on my windowsills in my bathroom. I put them in the windowsills in the kitchen, and it just has this lovely texture of its foliage, and it just makes it so interesting. And when you're ready, then you can actually either gift it to someone or you're ready to plant it. So I'm going to put this ones aside too, work with a neat table. So again, as we said, spiderettes, you get a lot of babies. Now that is a water propagation there. Now the other propagation that you can do again is with the spiderettes, is that you could actually get your soil, this is in one of those recycled containers, instead of putting it in water, you can actually just put them in soil as I've done here. And again, this was on Monday, 4 days ago, and already it's sprung up into action. And then when I'm ready to actually to transfer this, either in a pot or in my garden, is basically it's ready rooted and it's easier to go. Now, the last propagation I wanted to tell you is, again, we've seen the spiderettes and how the clump actually has a lot of babies. Another way to actually do it is, if you take the mother plant like this one, is if you look at the mother plant, again, you have a lot of babies attached to the mother root stem. So again, here in this plant, that's one baby, that's another baby attached to the mother. and that's how they actually grow in clumps. And so even as you're planting in your garden, do space them. You will get a lot of babies forming and it will take space. So do actually space them, and in the end they'll all join up together. So with this particular one, let's look for the mother stem. So if I look here, this is the mother, the root, and the baby comes from the root stem like this. There she is, like that, from the root stem. And again, if you do want to also use another technique, is if you need to be uprooting your border of spiders and you want to move them, is again, you just go get your clump and separate it. Simple like that. So again, one plant, and try to get them with the rooting, and the mother plant has produced 2 babies there. So basically this is what you do. So what I've shown you is, one, using the offset from the mother's root stem, and again you will get your babies, so we'll put that one here. Second thing is you can go into your spiderette, and within the spiderette they also have baby offshoots which you could separate and create again more babies from your spiderettes. And then in terms of actually propagating, you can propagate it in water and the rooting happens really fast. And you could use these little, while you're waiting for it to decide what you want to do, put them in the bathroom, put them in the kitchen, hang them on shelves, and they do look very attractive. All those methods do work. So do try what suits you, and in the end you can have spiders everywhere, and they do look attractive. So thank you, fellow gardeners. Thank you for joining me in this session. I hope you enjoyed it. There are different methods of propagating spider plants, and remember, they do give us oxygen and clear the pollutants in the air. Don't forget to subscribe, press the notification button, also like and share, and introduce us to other family members, friends. It's the planting season, and basically we have a lot on our channel within the playlists, and we're on Instagram. I do post a lot. I do have my babies, dogs there, and also I post what is in season in my garden, just to show you this beautiful colors that I have and inspiring you. And also do leave your comments on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. I do always answer them, and I do enjoy getting your messages. So thank you, fellow gardeners, and have a lovely day. Happy gardening, and do enjoy the spring for those in the Northern Hemisphere. Bye.